Hello, I'm Asif Farouk of Finextra, and today I'm with Travers Clarke-Walker of Fiserv. So Travers, thank you for joining me.
Hello Asif, nice to see you.
Let's talk about cloud, because obviously that's a big thing for Fiserv at the moment. Now, what do you think are some of the opportunities and challenges that exist within cloud and cloud banking?
So cloud represents an enormous opportunity for the banking sector, there is no doubt. And Fiserv recognises that in a number of ways. We've recently launched a new cloud-based full bank offering that's called Agility, but perhaps some of the risks and concerns need to be addressed as well. Certainly a number of research studies have suggested that there's security risks associated with cloud. Mm-hmm. Now the reality is some of that's to do with the language and understanding as what cloud technology actually is. For banking at least, we're not really talking about storing customer data records out in an open market cloud. So an enormous shift change going on. Yes, there are risks that need to be addressed or understood, and the controls appropriately deployed within the financial institutions, regulator and service providers alike, but an enormous opportunity for the sector, no doubt.
So Travers, there's a lot of excitement around new technologies coming into the market, one being Apple Pay, and they're called disruptors. What are your thoughts on how they will pan out in the industry?
So many of the disruptors, such called, actually are enormous opportunities for the sector at large. Many of them provide a much better and richer customer engagement than perhaps is available today through the traditional financial institutions. And the majority of them also rely upon those large-scale institutions and infrastructure to be in place to be successful in their own right. So whether or not it's Apple Pay or the rise of monoline product providers in the guise of peer-to-peer lending, a la Funding Circle, et al., or whether or not it's the international remittance businesses of TransferWise or TransferGoes, most of these in some way or another rely upon the existing large-scale financial infrastructure in place and provide a better, richer customer engagement at the top. I suppose the risk in there is that the traditional financial institutions become disintermediated in some way, and perhaps their opportunity is to work out how to partner with those businesses successfully.
Now, let's talk from a wider perspective. Future banking models, say we've seen the rise of digital-only offerings now in the industry. What are your thoughts on those and how they will pan out?
So as we look at the digital landscape into the future, I think there's a few things to take into account. Firstly, we undertook a recent research study with the CEBR. It identified that 35% of UK adults bank by mobile, lower than most of us would have actually assumed to be the case. But you also asked about what the future business models might be. And there's been lots of talk recently in the fintech community around marketplace banking. So these are effectively consumers taking from a marketplace of providers their financial product set, but not taking it from any single provider, because in the future, if you like, the capability to do that will be there. In fact, in some regards, we're already there. You can borrow from a peer-to-peer lender. You can undertake your international remittance within a single monoline international remittance provider. Yeah. You can take your current account from a prepaid debit card current account provider. Yeah. It is possible for you to consume a broad range of financial services from a bank marketplace. So I do think there's going to be a rise in that model at large. Whether or not that's going to completely disrupt, remove traditional financial institutions, I suggest that's incredibly unlikely. The reality is I'm expecting that banks will come and play, if you like, operate within that marketplace and operate very successfully. And they have an enormous opportunity to do so with the growth of the mobile user. As we said, it's currently only at 34%. The rise suggests that banks have got time, effort and opportunity to operate very successfully within that market. The final piece is the rise of the digital-only bank. There's been a number who've recently suggested and come to market and said they're going to operate only as a digital entity, which broadly means only as a mobile entity. I have no doubt that they have a successful business opportunity, but I don't think we're in a position yet to be writing off branches and writing off the traditional large-scale banks. But the reality is we have a healthy range of traditional banks in the market. Most, if not all of them, have got good offerings, but can be enhanced by access to that marketplace and access to better digital mobile offerings. And that market is coming at them at a pace.
Interesting. So it's interesting to talk about the marketplace and how banks are growing their business, and it's the acquisition model that we see a lot of, where institutions buy other smaller companies in order to grow and to innovate. What's your thought on that model?
So I do think the future model for innovation for banks is multifaceted. Some of that will be partnering with these new marketplace or financial digital businesses. Some of that will be partnering with them through others. And actually some of the traditional large-scale financial services technology providers, if you like, Fiserv and others, are a good route to doing that, because we're in the marketplace looking at all of those organisations as well. And we de-risk some of that partnership model because, of course, you're effectively partnering through a very large-scale, established fintech provider. So that's one route. The other routes, of course, are investment. So we have seen a number of banks around the world launch their investment venture partnership businesses, and that looks to be a successful model as well. Partnering with the accelerators and the incubators looks to be a successful model, and to some extent replication. Good old-fashioned copying what you've seen somebody else do and build it again, replicate it and place it out to your customer. So it's a very rich and fertile world at the moment. I think, if you're looking at it through a de-risked model, partner with your existing established financial technology partners. That's a good route in. We have a good access to the open marketplace. But in particular, the either invest in money or invest in time and effort getting close to the fintech community. It's explosive in London at the moment, and that in itself is a rich opportunity to provide great new customer models.